Yeah, but there's two camps right now. Some people think we're good enough to run it back, and with a year of development, some of these younger guys will step up next playoffs. And we're good as is. And there's another segment of the fan base that believes we should go try to make a big splash and bring in another piece to pair with Jalen Brunson. So I'll put on screen
Right.
Jalen Brunson. You mentioned how he was able to step up this season, and if you were able to look at the stats, you can see he really elevated his game come postseason, especially when a lot of the
Right.
guys around him really didn't, show up. We're going to talk about Julius Randle. We're going to talk about some of the young guys, Emmanuel Quickly, who really didn't have good postseason performances. But Jalen Brunson, you can see in the postseason, he elevated his points per game from 24 in the regular season to 27.9. Rebounds,
Right.
that went up from 3.5 in the regular season to 4.9 in the postseason. Assists per game, that went down. But again, that's another thing that you can look at his teammates. His teammates weren't really knocking down shots. So the assists per game went down from 6.2 in the regular season to 5.6 in the postseason. Turnovers remained the same, and a lot of his efficiency numbers stayed the same, except for the 3-point shot. 3-point shot was an area where he did, regress come postseason. But he's dealing with injuries. He had a lower leg injury that he was dealing with in the postseason, and it was almost like a one-man crew for a lot of those games out there. We did see Josh Hart step up, and RJ Barrett. He also had some quality performances in the postseason. But I think this front office, they did a great job bringing in Jalen Brunson, and he shows that he is him, and he's a player that we should continue to build upon. When Jalen Brunson was initially signed, how did you feel about the signing? Did you expect him to perform this way?
I'm gonna be honest. Initially, when we signed Jalen Brunson, I had questions. I wasn't sure. For the amount of money, it seemed like a lot at that point. But then when you take a look at the contract, you see, okay, each year he gets paid less and less, which, I feel like he's underpaid at this point now after seeing what he did this season. But after watching his performance with Dallas last year in the playoffs, I seen what he's capable of. He's always been a winner ever since high school, since Villanova. I wanted that kind of guy, that steady point guard in our locker room, because we haven't had one since
Starbury, if that.
Since Marbury and shit. I was a little kid then, but
right.
Sad when you think about it. So I was happy we got our point guard, but it was mixed feelings. Seeing what the Hawks gave up for DeJounte Murray. I felt like, damn, we had more than that. We could have got that. Talks about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, All-NBA guy. He's been an All-Star for how long now? And he's been like a playoff killer for how long now? So, but, I like Jalen Brunson. I just wasn't sure how it was going to work. I knew he would help our young guys get easier shots, help Julius Randle get easier shots, and things like that. But I didn't expect him to do what he did this season, though. If I'm being honest with you, I didn't expect it, but I'm happy about it. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp. Definitely underpaid. Like you said, his contract is descending, so it'll allow us to continue to build around him. And, if you look at the contract, he's pretty much got 2 more years. The third year is going to be an option. And, now we're able to see what he's able to do in the postseason when he's the guy. A lot of people were looking at his performances in Dallas, and they were saying, Luka was the guy there, and he did everything off of what Luka, or the attention that Luka was able to attract. But now we're seeing he was able to be the engine of a team that was struggling. I mean, if you look at our performance for the entire playoffs, we really didn't have a marquee game. I think there was one game where we were able to shoot 41% from 3 and, be a little bit efficient with our scoring in that game. But outside of that, for the most part, we struggled offensively. So for him to have us pretty much in contention for the majority of the games we played out there, it really just shows how special of a talent he is, and that it reinforces what the front office did when they decided to give him that type of contract. And you mentioned him being underpaid. I think, what is he, like the 15th or the 16th highest paid point guard in the league, and he's giving out performances that you would expect from a top 5 point guard in the league. So the value there is tremendous, and we just have to now make the right moves to add some more pieces around him.
I had my questions as far as him being the first option, one guy, like the 1A guy. But he proved to us, he showed us he could do it. And I think moving forward, like we have our guy now. You know, we have our guy. I'm not sure if the front office is going to be willing to move on from Julius Randle the way us fans want to, but you know, we have our guy now, so we know who to build around. We know, we got our point guard. So I haven't been able to say that shit damn near my entire life. So
Facts.
it feels good. It feels good.
Yes, sir. Definitely feel better about where we've been, where we are compared to other postseasons. I think the last year we had a tough season. So that postseason was a little bit, what are we going to do? Who are we going to bring in to kind of elevate this squad? And we answered that with Brunson. 2 years before that, we entered the offseason thinking that Julius Randle was not necessarily built for the playoffs, and we were kind of scrambling to see who we could bring in to help him. We ended up bringing in guys like Fournier, Kemba Walker, and that kind of fell flat on his face. So at least in this postseason, we have a guy in Brunson that we're like, all right, we know for sure he can perform in the playoffs, and now it's just what are we going to do to add more pieces that can, mesh with his game.
But the good thing about Brunson, he's not one of those guys where it's like, well, can this guy play with him? Can this guy play with him? He needs the ball. Brunson, he pretty much adapts to whatever offense. Like whatever we need, if we need him to get assists, he can get assists. If we need him to take over and score, he can take over and score. You know what I'm saying? So it's an easy fit for a guy like that. You can pretty much bring in anybody. He's a good leader. He's not really someone like, who's gonna be a bad influence on young guys. He's just going to go about his business the correct way. I think having his dad there helps too.
Yep.
And, I think it's all positives with him. There's very little cons when it comes to, Jalen Brunson. Besides his size and his defensive ability. But other than that.
And you made a good point with him being a good locker room presence. We've seen since they brought him in, he's really developed and become the leader of this team. A lot of people expected Julius Randle to continue being the leader, even with Jalen Brunson being brought in, but he's taken over that leadership role. And you like a lot of the things that you're hearing from him in the post-game conferences, and you're seeing some of the guys out there on the court take some of his moves, like that gather that he's able to do and draw a lot of fouls. We've seen Julius Randle kind of work that into his game. Emmanuel quickly has worked that into his game. So the addition of Jalen Brunson has really affected the Knicks, not only on the court, but also I think off the court as well. So you just got to give a shout out to the front office for that signing. They've done, some bad signings of other guys, but in the draft, they've done a pretty good job. And with the signing of Jalen Brunson, they've definitely done a great job there.
Uh-huh.